Hey guys, it's Dr. Sam Robbins. Today's Ask Me Anything is about testosterone. I posted a video about this a couple weeks ago. You guys asked the questions, and I'm going to be giving you the answers. I've got about 25 really good questions, and thank you for participating. Any other questions you have that come to mind or you're not sure about, please leave them in the comment section as you're watching this video, and I'll be putting out additional ones in the future, so make sure you're subscribed so you get notified with those. So let's start with these, and there should be timestamps underneath this video. So let's get started with the first question, and this comes from Samuel JR 9135, and he asks, "Hi Dr. Robbins, I've had gyno since 15 years old. I'm now 24 and I want to use your supplement. Should I take your supplement, or is it going to raise my testosterone and maybe convert even more to estrogen and DHT? Or should I be focusing on decreasing DHT and estrogen through only zinc?" For those of you who don't know, gynecomastia is like any man boobs. And a lot of people actually get a little bit of it as transient during puberty because you have this huge hormonal spike. And with testosterone, some of it will aromatize to estrogen through the enzyme. I actually had it growing up naturally, and I had it removed when I think I was 19. It wasn't bad. I just wasn't comfortable with it. Sometimes you go to the beach or whatever, and it's just a little bit poofy. And anyhow, if you dealt with it, you become very self-conscious. In this situation, if you've had it now, obviously for almost 10 years, it's not going to go away. I always suggest, if you're not comfortable with it, have surgery. Make sure it's done by a good plastic surgeon, because if they don't do it right, they're going to mess things up. Actually, now, as far as what causes gynecomastia, it is a conversion to estrogen through the aromatase enzyme. A lot of it is genetics. You either have it or you don't. That's another thing. But high levels of testosterone converting to estrogen is the problem. And more so, it's the imbalance. All right. Sometimes a guy will have low testosterone and higher estrogen levels in the imbalance, and that's what causes it. So taking a supplement like Alphaviril, it does increase testosterone, but in it, I've also added things like aromatase, things that lower estrogen and DHT, zinc, and take it with copper. If you don't want to take Alphaviril, that's a great start, but it's not going to be that powerful. But in this situation, you've already had it. It's not going to get any worse at the age of 24. It's adult onset. So my suggestion is also to lose weight, because estrogen gets higher estrogen levels from higher body fat. So lose fat, and if you can have surgery. This one comes from Allison 2025, and it says, "Can you explain the negative effects of circumcision? Is it better or not?" I've had mine circumcised. It's, so that's that. I don't know any better. You can have more sensitivity if it's uncircumcised, because you have more skin at the foreskin and all that stuff. So that's the benefit. But on the other hand, some of the negatives with being uncircumcised is you do have to make sure it's clean. You can have smegma, as it's called. And some people, women may not find it attractive because they're not used to that, especially in America. Maybe in Europe it's normal. So keep that in mind. But is it better or not? It doesn't really matter, as long as your penis is working and it's healthy. It's not something, if you're uncircumcised, I certainly wouldn't recommend it. Doing it later on in life, it's going to be painful, but it's up to you. It's your penis. As long as you're happy with it, that's all that matters. This one's a good question. It comes from Full Metal Chase. He says, "How can I replicate the honeymoon phase or the honeymoon period of TRT, testosterone replacement therapy? The beginning portion of starting TRT, which results in most individuals feeling great, then homeostasis takes over, and then you feel just okay, but it's pretty resistant to cycling." I think this would be a great video topic. So I'm not really sure he wants it. I guess. So just to let you know, when you take hormone replacement therapy like testosterone, initially you're going to feel awesome. Why? Because let's just say you have let's just say your testosterone is from 300 to 1,000 and you're on the low levels, let's say 250 or 350, whatever it is. You add testosterone in, and what happens? At that time, you're adding exogenous testosterone from the outside onto your already testosterone levels, right? So you might just think, I'm just making this up, 100 milligrams of testosterone cypionate or ananthanate a week. And then that's on top of it. Plus your body is like hypersensitive right now. It's got nothing coming in from the outside. It's like you having taken caffeine for many, 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 many years, and then you don't take any caffeine and you're like back to being tired. And then one day someone gives you a big cup of coffee, like, man, I feel great, because you haven't used it. Your body hasn't had that much testosterone in a while. And it's a lot of it because it hits you all at once. It's exogenous. So now you get this amazing feeling, man. You're driven, you're on top of the world, you're confident, your erections are great, you're super horny. But right around the 2-week mark, your body adapts. That around 10 to 20 days with a lot of drugs, I've noticed your body adapts. Your body will always adapt to everything. There's no way around it, okay? So what you added, your body adapts by why? A few things. First of all, your testicles are like, hey, I'm getting this outside hormone. I guess I don't need to do anything anymore. And little by little, it turns off. Your testicles, they stop producing what little testosterone you have. So then what happens is what little testosterone you did have, that goes down. So you were here, now you're all the way up here, and with the extra testosterone, and then all of a sudden this goes down and you come back down. So now there's a little bit of a drop. The other thing is your receptors get used to it. Your body got used to that thing. It's like homeostasis. Your body wants, hey, this guy's not supposed to be this freaking horny all the time. So it brings it down. Then the other problem happens is your body starts to convert, again, depending on genetics and how old you are, all these factors, is that testosterone was so high, now it starts to convert to other hormones, two primary hormones being estrogen and DHT. And again, genetics. Some people convert a lot more to estrogen and convert to DHT. So your testosterone is high right now, or it was here, right? And then it comes down, and then all of a sudden it's going to go even lower because some of that testosterone gets converted to estrogen, and some of that gets converted to DHT. And now all of a sudden your testosterone is coming back down again because it's converting to other hormones. So now you're like, oh, crap. So what happens? Typically, the doctor will either give you an inhibitor, which can then, like, what are you going to do? He's going to get on Propecia, which will lower your DHT, which is going to give you dick problems and impotent problems. Or he's going to give you an aromatase inhibitor, which gives you a little bit too much or a little bit too little, and then that's going to shut you down more. So it's this constant feedback. Or he's going to give you HCG, and then this goes up and that comes down. So all these different factors happen. So it's this constant mismanagement of your hormones. You can optimize it if you have the right doctor. And this is what I consult people all the time. And there's other factors you can do, but you're never going to get that initial wow, okay? It's like guys taking steroids. That first cycle, they get this amazing benefit. It's like that first kiss. Man, you remember your first kiss, right? Things are never going to be like that first kiss. So that's the problem. It's just a part of it. And if you don't have a good doctor, which isn't going to manipulate and manage and optimize all these other hormones, then yeah, the honeymoon phase is going to not last too long. So unfortunately, you just have to keep playing around with it and, just manage it better. Now, the next question is from John Humble 3584. And he asks, does a combination of intermittent fasting, keto, getting vitamin D, zinc, and proper sleep enough to help with testosterone levels? Also, how do you feel about maca root for balancing hormones? I would like to optimize my testosterone production while also providing healthy hormone balance via whatever method provided that. Thank you. So a ketogenic diet, which is basically no carbs, should be low protein and high fat, or intermittent fasting. Basically, I don't know exactly what kind. They can be, 8 hours, it can be 12 hours, 16 hours. It doesn't show any increase in testosterone levels long-term, all right? Now, in some studies, it shows there's a temporary one, there's an increase in testosterone, but then sex hormone binding globulin goes up, so your free testosterone comes back down, all right? A lot of reasons that some of these intermittent fasting or keto diets give you all this energy. It's not just the ketones. It's the fact that your body thinks maybe it's starving a little bit, something is off, so your adrenaline and cortisol goes up. So that's cool. Your energy is up. You don't need as much sleep because, again, cortisol and adrenaline is up. But unfortunately, as cortisol and adrenaline go up over time, testosterone levels come down. So also keep that in mind. As far as maca improving your hormones, in clinical studies, it doesn't increase testosterone. In menopausal menopausal women have found that it might be helpful to regulate their estrogen levels. And it's basically, it's called an adaptogen. So if things are high, if things are low, it's one of those generic statements that they give to a lot of herbs. It's an adaptogen. It works whether it's high and works whether it's low. Um, I haven't found it as far as improving hormones. However, if you like it, give it a try. You never know how your body reacts, even if it's placebo. If you get some positive results, that's great. The minimum dose is 3 grams. That's 3,000 milligrams. So start with 3,000 and build up to maybe 5,000. If you feel good on it, fine, great. If you don't, cycle it off as well. So I hope that was helpful. So the next question is from Marwano Banani. All right. So, hello, Dr. Robbins. I'm 18 years old. I have been following you since I was 17. Thank you. And I benefited a lot from your videos. Thank you very much. I've been following your advice and related to raising testosterone for about a year and applying it. But I have one problem, which is when I want to sleep before midnight. All right. I do not have the desire to sleep. So I stay in my place without sleeping for 2 hours until 3 or 4 o'clock. That's when I start to feel sleepy and fall asleep, but I sleep 7 hours. My sleep is good and deep. I do not know how to fix this problem and start sleeping before midnight to benefit from the advice to raise testosterone. Okay, so when it comes to sleep, you sleep on your circadian rhythm. Okay, you're young, 16, 17, 18, 19, and in your very early 20s, all right, especially that time when your hormones are up, you tend to be a late night person. I was up to like 1, 2, or 3 a.m. working and going to school and all that. And I get up at like 8 or 9. I didn't need much sleep. I've never needed much sleep. However, now that I'm like older, in my 50s, I notice I do need to go to sleep earlier. Just change, okay? So you go to sleep when it's good for you. There is no you have to go to bed at 9 or 10 or midnight. It doesn't matter. As long as you're getting your deep quality sleep, 7 hours. If you prefer going to bed, for example, as you said, at 3 and then waking up 7 hours later at 10, then do that. Just stick to that schedule. Every day, just go to sleep around 3. Don't go to sleep at midnight and one day at 5, all right? But just stick to that and wake up. That's your perfect time. As long as you're sleeping, that's cool. Later on, life is going to change and you won't be able to, and then you'll change. But if you don't have any reason, there's no, unless you have to get up. Now, there's a problem if you're going to bed at 3 and you got to get up at like 6 to go to work. That's going to be a problem. But if you don't have an alarm waking you up, you don't have to go to work or school or do anything specifically, then sleep in. Go to bed when you want at the same time and sleep in. Some people have earlier circadian rhythms. Like I said, when you're younger, you tend to be more of a night owl. As you get older, next thing you come to bed like at 9 p.m. So I hope that was helpful. Next question is from Robert DeHeer, 1307. He asks, how can I restore hormonal health and balance after stroke? I have some burnout and fatigue as well. Thanks in advance. So yes, a stroke, especially an ischemic one, can disrupt your hormone levels. It affects your neuroendocrine system, so leading to changes in secretions such as growth hormone, testosterone, prolactin, and DHEA, estrogen, and a few of others. So it's not necessarily from the testicles, it's from neurons in your brain. There's nothing really special you can do, all right? You just need to do what I've been telling everyone else on how to increase your testosterone levels. I'll put a link below this video for optimal ways to do it naturally and so forth. The usual stuff. You got to sleep better, exercise. You have to eat well, and then if you want, add in some supplements. Alphaviril, again, does help with the hormones. Also taking DHEA in your case in the morning, about 25 milligrams will help because you're probably lacking it. And then you might also take another adrenal hormone, pregnenolone, about maybe 10 milligrams at night. So you're having more of an adrenal neuro missing, things are not optimal. Of course, obviously you should speak to your doctor. If you have burnout, you mentioned your burnout and fatigue. What's the cause of it? Is it physical burnout? Is it emotional burnout? And all of that will definitely stress, all right? You have anhedonia and you don't care. So all of that stress and higher cortisol levels will certainly decrease all your other hormones, all your sex hormones, testosterone, estrogen, and adrenal hormones when cortisol levels and stress is up. So you need to optimize and manage that. Again, I'll put links below this video. You go to my blog, they've got tons of videos about reducing stress and increasing testosterone. So please take a look. All right, so the next question comes from Nfarna666. He says, how does boron help with free and total testosterone levels? Does it help with it? So yes, boron has been shown in multiple studies to increase both total and free testosterone levels by almost 25%, and at the same time reducing estradiol, the estrogen, by almost 50%. So it's pretty good. And it's, it's very inexpensive, in this big scheme of things. It has a lot of benefits. This was one reason I added it to Alphaviril, and I have it at 10 milligrams. The research shows that anywhere between 6 to 10 milligrams is the optimal dose. I have 10 milligrams in Alphaviril. Anything less than 3 doesn't do anything for you. So take it around, again, 5 to 10 milligrams. If you don't want to take Alphaviril, it's already got it in there. Just take it, the chelated boron at maybe 5 to 10 milligrams. I prefer taking it in the morning because it is going to increase testosterone. So you're going to get a little bit spike in energy levels. So give it a try and let me know how it works for you. The next question is from Bobby Sa. He says, is it better for DHT, dihydrotestosterone, to be as low as possible, or to be in the normal range or on the low end of normal? Good question. DHT, dihydrotestosterone, is linked to hair loss, excess body hair, and prostate growth. And as far as also estrogen is linked to all these same problems, especially the prostate growth. And one reason DHT levels go up, other than genetics, having more 5-alpha reductase, you have testosterone, it gets converted more DHT. Also, if you tend to have high estrogen levels, your body's natural estrogen inhibitor is DHT. So if there's a huge rise, or for whatever reason, estrogen, your body can sometimes increase DHT just for the sake of trying to reduce estrogen levels. So to answer your question, is it better to keep it? It's never good to keep it low. DHT also helps with your mood, with your energy levels, brain function, and also erections. Unfortunately, you don't want it high. That's for sure. I keep mine in the low normal range. Good for hair, good for skin, good for aging. It's got a lot of benefits to keep it low normal. And also when it's, DHT also does nothing for muscle growth. Testosterone does. So I keep my testosterone super high, and I keep my estrogen and DHT on the normal low range because I don't find too much benefit with them. My sex drive's good. My mood is good. Aging is better. No prostate, no hair problems. So I like to keep that. But you never want to keep anything below normal because there's a reason your body makes it. So keep estrogen and DHT on a lower normal range. And testosterone is high. By the way, as soon as you lower both DHT and estrogen, testosterone levels will go up. So that's another bonus. All right. So next question comes from DK Reek 7508. And it says, my question is directly related to your experience with your doctor at 19. He met mine. Thank you for watching that old video. What are your general guidelines to look for when having hormone levels tested? For example, I've heard you want to be tested, quote unquote, especially testosterone in the morning and tested twice. And how do you know if a doctor is going to interpret the results accurately? Are these laboratories such as Quest Diagnostics suitable, or do you need to go to an endocrinologist? Excellent question. So for those of you who don't know, I had my blood tested when I was 19, full hormone panel. And the doctor, and this was obviously over 30 years ago when the health industry was a lot better than it is now. So my insurance didn't fight me. They didn't care, oh, sure, no problem. Just a doctor to do it. And the doctor said, well, why do you want to do it? You're young. Everything's fine with you. And I said, well, I'd like to know because I was just getting into bodybuilding. I knew about it. I was really interested in hormones. So I went and got my hormones tested, all of them. I said, just do everything, man. DHT, estrogen, testosterone, total and free testosterone, thyroid hormones, prolactin, everything. And that's when I noticed my testosterone was kind of low. It was all normal range. Testosterone was low. DHT and estrogen was high. I'm like, shit, I'm 19. This is as good as it's ever going to get. And my levels suck. And I told him that. And he says, no, it's okay, man. They're in the normal range. I said, yeah, it's normal, but it's not optimal. Making maybe $50,000 a year is normal, but you're making $250,000 a year, and that's optimal. I want optimal. This is shit. It's only going to get worse as I get older. And he says, no, no, no. And then, long story short, I ended up interacting with different doctors, the Mr. Olympia doctor, and he was my mentor, and it turned into something really great. And me doing what I'm doing right now, something horrible turned into something positive years later. So to answer your question, general practitioner doctors they're not going to know shit. All right. They're not going to know anything like this. They're just going to read it and they're going to tell you some bullshit. Going to an endocrinologist would be ideal if it's a good endocrinologist. Generally, they are good at it. Right. You have to find the right person. I don't know how old you are. So that would be ideal, taking it to an endocrinologist and having them do the test, and they will interpret it if it's a good one. This is what I've been doing. I consult people. I take a look at all their blood tests and give them reasons why this and that, maybe this, optimize that, changes diet and all that stuff. An endocrinologist can tell you what's going on with your hormones, but he's not going to sit there and tell you how to make lifestyle changes and kind of different diet and exercise program or this and that, or hey, take this supplement or don't take that or take more vitamin D, all that stuff. They won't tell you that because that's not what they're trained for. They don't know about it. They didn't go to school. They're all about drugs. Okay. That's it. Well, hormones are fine. I'll give you this drug and this and that. So just keep that in mind. Quest Diagnostics and all and so forth. They're a great place. You can go do your own labs, but to interpret it, you should go to someone who knows. You can come to me. I'll put information below, or just contact me. I can do the consulting for you, or just go to an endocrinologist. So they would be helpful, at least to give you what is going on, good or bad, and so forth. The next one is from War Semina Enthusiast 7552. Sorry about that. What are your views on testosterone levels in carnivore diet? Carnivore diet, basically meat eaters. Some studies have shown that there's an increase in total testosterone, but then there is a decrease in your free testosterone levels. One reason it can be beneficial and the higher testosterone is because when you're on a carnivore diet, you tend to also eat more fat from the meat. So the cholesterol will cause a temporary increase in testosterone levels. However, obviously over time, having too much saturated fats is actually bad, or could be bad, for your testosterone levels. I personally don't like any overly restrictive limited diets. It's not something you can follow for long term, certainly not for the rest of your life. However, give it a try and see how you feel. That's the most important part. I've got guys who I consulted, they're on carnivore diets, or whether it's a vegan diet or keto diet, and over the long term, their hormones, something was always really wrong. Maybe their body wasn't suited for it or something. Your body, they say there's no essential carbohydrates, but carbs are, help lower cortisol levels, help free up, and insulin helps free up bind to testosterone levels. It's good for your thyroid. There's a lot of important things, but see how it is, see how you like it. If your sex drive is good, you feel motivated, everything's good, then stick with it. But it's certainly not something most people aren't going to stick to it for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, pure meat. It's difficult. The next question is from Roja Roja. He says, how much vitamin D to get daily testosterone levels by converting vitamin D to cholesterol? I don't really understand. I can, but okay. So basically, I guess he wants to know how much vitamin D do you need to increase testosterone levels. If you're deficient in vitamin D, so you do a blood test and it's low or below normal, right? Especially if it's below normal, studies have shown 3,000 to 5,000 units a day can increase your testosterone levels, because your vitamin D will now be in a normal or preferably higher range. That's when you're going to get the greatest results. However, if you're already in the middle or higher range, taking vitamin D supplements isn't going to increase testosterone levels. So keep that in mind. I like to keep mine at the higher end of the normal range, 70, 80, maybe 90. But that's me. I know people who are fine, like to keep it in the middle. I like to keep mine higher. It just has, vitamin D is a steroid, has so many health benefits. So keep it at the higher range if it was me. And I personally need to almost take 10,000 units for some reason, yet my mom can take 5,000 units and her levels are perfectly fine. I put the link to below what I take. You want to take the microencapsulated vitamin D3 along with K2. I've always said it. It's the most absorbable and it doesn't go rancid, unlike the fat gel ones that are, in the gel caps, which are most. Those are cheaper and it goes rancid. It's not as bioavailable. So combine the two and take your blood test and see where you are. The next question is from Joe Beskid 4716. He says, does DHEA raise testosterone levels in men? Yes, it does, but it tends to work much better for raising testosterone levels in women. Also, for some men, DHEA tends to maybe increase testosterone, but also tends to increase estrogen levels more than testosterone. I know guys who can maybe get gyno if they take a high enough dose, or it reacts their existing gynecomastia when they take DHEA. And also, as estrogen levels go up, testosterone will go up, estrogen levels will go up a little bit too much, and then that little by little tells your hypothalamus pituitary to actually start decreasing testosterone production. That's why a few years ago, even though I used a very low dose of DHEA and Alphaviril, I removed it. I didn't want to take that risk. I just want something that's proven to work for everyone. However, if you do want to try it, especially if your DHEA levels are low, or suboptimal, just start at 25 milligrams first thing in the morning, take it with a fat meal, and see how you look and see how you feel and see how your hormones and your libido is. Give it a try and let me know how it works. This one comes from Jalex Hidez 8406. It says, hello, Dr. Robbins. My question is, I'm 43 and my erection just lasts a few minutes. What do you recommend me to do? I guess maybe a few minutes and he goes limp, or you go limp. I don't, you got to check your hormones. But to answer your question, what would I suggest you do? I would highly, highly suggest you watch some of my videos. Just on mobile, you can't do a search on YouTube. I don't know why my channel, but on desktop you can. You go to my channel. I posted at YouTube. Obviously you're there. And just do a search for increasing testosterone levels. I'll also put a link below on my top 3 videos at my blog. You can do it, different supplements you can. But if you improve your testosterone levels, you're going to be able to have better erections. Nitric oxide levels go up and blood flow is improving. But there's another reason, is it psychological? Are you going limp because your brain goes somewhere else? Is it because the person you're with, maybe you're not as attracted anymore? I don't really know the exact cause as to why you go limp or when it started. But again, better erections, better testosterone, better blood flow means longer erections. So keep that in mind. The next question is from Clyden G87. He says, can my wife use low dose testosterone for libido? If so, how much? She can. I don't necessarily recommend it because testosterone will cause her to turn into a man. That's what they're going to give to someone who's going to have a sex change. But you can use a very low dose. I would say 10 milligrams a week. Remember, women make 1/10 the dose men take. So you would, again, you'd have to get the right syringe and all that stuff. You'd get testosterone cypionate, and you would just do an injection once a week. I've had female clients taking it. You can't overdo it. Just be careful. Just 10 milligrams a week. The topical might work, but I like the injections better for women. 10 milligrams of testosterone cypionate, again, once a week. You can even just do subcutaneous. Again, speak to your doctor. Don't take my word for it. But a little bit will go. Now you have to keep an eye on her as far as virilization, hair growth, hair loss, clitoral growth. Maybe she'll like that. But deepening of the voice. Once the voice starts to deepen, it doesn't go away. All right. I once dated a girl a long time ago, many, many years ago, and she wanted to do a little bit of steroids, and like within 2 weeks, her voice started to crack. I took her off immediately. So no more, because it's permanent. You don't want a girl to have a man voice like me. So keep that in mind. The next question is from Sphalaxis SVL number 2. All right. So Is there a connection between testosterone and serotonin? Actually, yes, it's a good question. I'll keep it simple for now, and I'll make a much detailed video about all these different hormones and neurotransmitters and how they all relate to testosterone. So testosterone can enhance serotonin signaling in men and women too. Serotonin in turn affects your mood, aggression, it impulse control, and also just your overall emotional well-being. Serotonin does, and testosterone can help. So when testosterone is low, it may indirectly lower serotonin activity, partially and potentially just causing depression, irritability, and anxiety. Keep something else in mind, that as testosterone levels go up, dopamine levels go up. So there's this nice balancing act when testosterone levels are normal range naturally. If you get it too high, then there is an overstimulation, for example, dopamine, and then you become irritable in that sense too, and then serotonin will become imbalanced. So it's always trying to keep it at a natural level through your testicles. That's why I'm not as big a fan of testosterone replacement therapy, unless you just have to do it after you've tried everything. But most guys these days just go right to that because it's a quick fix, and a few months later they find out it leads to other problems. Which again, this next question, Kenny Warren, 6'8", 694, he says, on TRT replacement and I still feel tired. Well, what's the cause of you being tired? You know, just I think these days everyone just throws around the word testosterone and TRT and HRT, and they're taking all these different drugs and growth hormones, and they think it'll fix everything. Testosterone does wonders if you do it the right way. If you have your levels in the right level and you balance out other hormones, because high estrogen can cause you to be very tired. So keep that in mind. Again, are you converting a little? Are you converting a lot to estrogen? I don't know. I don't know how much testosterone you're taking. I don't know what else. People sometimes, doctors are putting people on Clomid. Clomid, I got to do a whole another video about that. It causes, that tends to tire people out. A lot of things I could say about this, but also, being tired is so generic. Testosterone isn't going to fix it. Are you not sleeping enough? How's your diet? How's your exercise? Or do you have a purpose in life? Are you in a good relationship? How's work? Sleep, again, is very, very important. The types of foods, are you overweight? There's a lot of factors. Testosterone is not going to fix everything. Every time these guys go to a TRT clinic, everyone's like, here, take this, take that. It'll fix everything. You can't get an erection, TRT, Viagra, then give you some ceramolone and some HCG and some GH. And it's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful money-making business. And once you're on it, you can't really just get off. So they're drug pushers. I've seen so many people have to fix a lot of these people. So anyhow, hope that answers your question. It's a little bit vague, so sorry. The next question is from Silver Fox 8436. Hey doc, I have prolactomia. He misspelled it. Basically too much prolactin because of a benign tumor in my pituitary. I'm 50 years old, and he put me on cabergoline last year. That's a drug that lowers prolactin levels. To last year, and he brought my prolactin from 22 to 2 and eased me off the medication. My testosterone T levels, free testosterone, went up slightly, but still low. I'm 50 years old and 40 pounds overweight, and I'm working out. I'm working on with an active lifestyle, 4 days a week to the gym. Do you think it's reasonable that a 50-year-old can seriously turn my testosterone around by lowering my prolactin and not doing TRT? Yes, absolutely. You didn't tell me about your other hormones, such as thyroid and estrogen and DHT, or even your total and free testosterone levels. But simply lowering body fat, you said you're 40 pounds overweight. Your body fat produces estrogen on its own. So as estrogen levels go up, as I've said many times, testosterone levels come down. Okay, so losing the fat alone will also lower prolactin, because typically a lot of times higher estrogen also tends to have higher prolactin levels, and maybe vice versa. In this situation, you have high prolactin, higher estrogen, that kind of go a little bit hand to hand. So losing the weight, losing that fat is super important. Try all that. Try the supplements, try the diet. Losing the fat is really important. And as far as him getting you off, I don't know, what does that mean? If you have a tumor on your pituitary, you get off this drug, I'm assuming it's just going to go back up. So that's the part I don't understand. Also, cabergoline, you don't want to be that on long term because it causes heart valve problems. So keep that in mind. The next question is from wholesome_J. Can your supplement lower DHT while doing natural things to increase testosterone? Is there such a thing as having high testosterone with low DHT? Yes, yes, and yes. Alphaviril does that. It's designed to increase testosterone and lower estrogen, high levels of estrogen, DHT, to keep things balanced. And as I've said, I like to keep my DHT levels normal low, estrogen normal low, and my testosterone high. You'll look better, you'll feel better, you'll age better, great for your skin, hair, and prostate, and typically your sex drive too, and muscle mass. Estrogen and DHT aren't going to produce muscle. So as those two levels, those two hormones come down, testosterone goes up. So good for fat loss, muscle building, sex drive, erections, skin, hair, prostate, and aging. DHT accelerates aging. Estrogen can accelerate aging, and both of those are linked to breast and prostate cancer, yes, in men. Wow, I got another prolactin question. Is Hamid Disfi. Hey, does cabergoline increase testosterone indirectly by lowering prolactin? And can you stay on that by lowering prolactin? You can have more rounds of sex. Okay, so yes and yes. I'll do a deeper video about prolactin and testosterone in a future video. I'm going to do all these hormones and how they relate to testosterone in a future video. So if you're not subscribed, subscribe and click the notification icon so you'll be notified when the video comes out. But a quick summary for today, lowering prolactin levels will increase dopamine. Prolactin and dopamine are on opposite ends. Prolactin goes up, dopamine comes down, and vice versa. And higher dopamine is also linked to higher testosterone levels. Another thing is prolactin inhibits GnRH, gonadotropin releasing hormone in the hypothalamus. And what that means is less GnRH means less LH, luteinizing hormone from the pituitary, and less LH is less testosterone from the testes. So it's all a feedback loop. Pituitary, this axis, that thing, blah, 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 testicles, less testosterone. So keep that in mind. So lowering prolactin levels, again, you don't want low, you just want to lower them to a lower normal range, assuming you have high prolactin. It normalizes GnRH, it boosts LH, and that raises testosterone levels. So yes, lowering prolactin can also reduce your refractory period, because you asked if you can have sex more often. Refractory period, basically when you have sex, you have an orgasm, prolactin levels will go up, dopamine will comes down, and that means higher prolactin increases your refractory period. Refractory period is how often or how long you can have sex. When you're young, your prolactin levels come back down real quick, so you can go at it again and again and again, and you have higher testosterone levels, and all the hormones are perfect. But as you get older, maybe prolactin levels go up a little bit more, estrogen is a little bit higher, so it takes you longer to have sex. So yes, lowering elevated prolactin levels will allow you to have sex more often. However, again, this is only if you have high prolactin levels. If you have normal prolactin levels, lowering it is not going to make that much of a difference. It's better to improve dopamine, okay, and dopamine sensitivity, because remember, dopamine goes up, prolactin will come down, and dopamine is linked to increased drive and sexual desire. So improve dopamine and dopamine sensitivity, and you'll get an even better reaction. And I'll make a deep dive about dopamine and dopamine sensitivity in a future video. The next question is from Hitman0103. It says, hello doctor, I'm 24 and I feel reduced libido. Sometimes feel erection, sometimes not at all. No sex drive, check testosterone, it was 285. So I need your advice to boost my testosterone naturally and fix my sexual health. I went to the hospital near my locality once, but the doctor didn't respond well and just checked my urine and blood report and told me that it's due to stress. But I feel the same, no sex drive like I used to. Please reply back. Sorry, my English is not so good. I'm not American. Okay, 24, you're young. 285 testosterone is really low. The range, I guess, depending on the lab, depending on the blood test, depending on where, I'm assuming, if it was an American range, it's 300 to 1,000. Yours is 285. That's really low for anyone, especially when you're 24. Why is it so low? That's the question. I don't know. I don't know your lifestyle. I don't know your other hormones. I hate the fact that doctors will only test one hormone and then won't test the other ones. For example, if you had low testosterone, low DHT, low estrogen, low, then maybe your testicles aren't working and you had high LH, FSH, and hey, maybe that's a problem. Or maybe your testosterone is low, but your estrogen and DHT is high, something that happened to me when I was 19, as I explained earlier. So now you fix those two hormones and push those DHT and estrogen down, and immediately your levels will go up. I tripled my testosterone by just reducing those two hormones when I was 19. So keep that in mind. Now, again, I don't know why it's low. You have to do a detailed blood test. It's like doing accounting. When you're going to go buy a company, you got to do accounting for everything. You can't say, hey, they made this much money. Great. You don't know what their expenses are, if there's lawsuits against them, a lot of different factors that go into this. So you have to do a full test. Now, I made so many videos about increasing testosterone levels. So please use the YouTube channel, do a search. It's too deep for me to get into this right now because I don't have all the details, but improving your testosterone levels and decreasing negative hormones, estrogen, DHT, cortisol, improving diet, exercising, stress management, sleep. It's never one thing. So keep that in mind. Use the channel, go to my blog. I've got literally like hundreds of videos just for guys and testosterone and improving your hormones. Utilize it. Okay. I got a email newsletter there. I'll send you information. Use this channel, do the search. It's there. If you want specific questions, ask for it below and I'll give you a specific answer. The next question is from the blue collar badass 9945. Nice. He says, if you're taking TRT, can you get off and will your body still produce enough, I'm assuming testosterone, after a long time of being on TRT, testosterone replacement? Excellent question. Yes, for the majority of people, but it's going to take a while to bounce back. So let's just say you're on TRT for 5 years. Your balls, your testicles have been dormant. They've been shut off. If they're shut off for a long time, for certain people, it's called end organ failure. Basically, the testicles won't work as well. So you get off. Maybe some people, I swear, they get back to normal, no problem. And that's their genetics. And when they say they get back to normal, it's not what it was before. Okay, so let's just, it don't ever get back to the TRT levels. And it may not get back to where they were before you got off. So I'm just making this up. Let's just say you were at 400, you take the testosterone, you're at 900, you stop, you go to like almost zero for a while, and eventually your body starts to get back to normal. How long does that take? Nobody knows. Genetics, how long you've been on, what dose you're on, how your other hormones are. But it will take at least a month or two, sometimes 6 months. I know guys, it took a year to get to back halfway through and they still felt like crap and they had to go back on. And yes, they took HCG and Clomid and all that other stuff. Some people just don't bounce back and some people bounce back immediately. I know bodybuilders who've taken a ton of stuff and then 3 months later, they're back to normal. And they didn't even do post-cycle therapy or anything. That's just genetics. Also, when you're younger, you can do it. When you're older, things aren't going to bounce back. So that's why I always tell people, use TRT as the final and last resort. Make sure everything in your life is better. You've tried everything. You've done the best diet, losing the weight, exercise, and done the supplements and all that. Then if nothing works for a year, then you do TRT by a good doctor who manages it and start low. And then it's great. But a lot of people just go in it expecting some dramatic life changes and you're going to have a ton of energy, great sex drive. You're going to turn into a pro bodybuilder and nothing could be further from the truth. So keep that in mind. Next question is from Tom Baronuski 6413. He asks, does excess alcohol impact testosterone? Yes. Any alcohol is going to be bad for your body. All of it will lower testosterone indirectly, directly over time. First and foremost, alcohol will stress the body. It will cause poor sleep if you're taking it late, and poor sleep will screw up all your hormones, including testosterone. It puts stress on the liver. Your liver produces a lot of different hormones and enzymatic pathways, so keep that in mind. And also, alcohol can increase estrogen, which will then indirectly lower testosterone, and it can increase cortisol levels. So You want to have alcohol, relax, do it once in a while. But if you're going to be doing a lot of alcohol regularly or binging on a weekend, you sense it. That's why sex drive goes down when you have a lot of alcohol. Your body's testosterone just temporarily shuts down. So keep that in mind. Final question is from Dean McCaruddy, 4582. Does nicotine increase testosterone? Yes, actually, nicotine acts as a mild aromatase inhibitor. Aromatase means that it lowers estrogen, which then will increase testosterone levels. Nicotine also tends to increase dopamine, which will indirectly increase testosterone levels a little bit. It's all minor. Remember, though, this is nicotine. I didn't say go smoke. Smoking's a whole different animal, okay? Smoking has some nicotine and like 1,000 other crap in there. That will cause a lot more negativity. But nicotine will. But is it going to make, TRT? No. Is it going to work like a supplement like Alphaviril? No. But it will help a little bit. So keep that in mind. Nicotine actually has a lot of health benefits. For some people, it is very addictive. I take it. I've been taking it for a couple years, and sometimes I don't take it for a few weeks. I don't notice any difference as far as addiction. I notice a little bump in my energy levels, a little bit more focus, but I don't really necessarily notice any testosterone levels, but my testosterone is already good, high levels, so I wouldn't expect nicotine to do anything. So I hope that was helpful. As always, you have questions, put it below. I put special links in the description area for some of the topics we've talked about today. And let me know other questions you have. Subscribe and click the notification icon so when other videos come out, you'll be notified. Thanks. Have a great day.